அரங்க மதிர விசில் பறக்கவே
எட்ரா கொக்கி
வணக்கம் மக்களே and welcome to another episode of the r/Kollywood podcast. We have a stacked panel today. எல்லாரும் வந்து கோலிலாம் பார்த்தாச்சு, அடிச்சு துவச்சாச்சு நம்ம சப்ல. ஸோ நம்மளும் வந்து பார்த்துருக்கோம், சில பேருக்கு 2 வாட்டிலாம் பார்த்துருக்கோம். ஸோ நிறைய questions and comments நம்ம மைண்ட்ல எல்லாம் ஓடுது. So we thought of kind of going into the writing a bit deeper, which to be fair has been the most criticized part about this film. Someone dropped a post called the Coolie black hole of plot holes. So இன்னைக்கு வந்து we are going into that black hole and identifying 10 questions or 10 commonly asked questions that we all had or most of us had while watching the film, and understanding why is it the way it is. Is it a convenience? Is it a contrivance? Is it a genuine plot hole? And how could it have been potentially fixed, right? I have with me our legends from the previous episodes of the Coolie podcast. Dad bro, vanakkam Dad, eppadi irkeenga?
Hey guys, I don't know if I'm glad to be back, but happy to be talking to you guys.
இது நீங்களும் 2 வாட்டி பார்த்துருக்கீங்க என்ன மாதிரி. ஸோ we have the most data and ஆதங்கம், I suspect. JK bro, வாங்க, எப்படி இருக்கீங்க?
ஹாய் ப்ரோ. என்னது கூலி படத்துல பிளாட் ஹோல்ஸ் இருக்கா? ஓ மை காட், எப்போ? அந்த மாதிரிதான் இருக்கு.
Pirate bro, welcome. எப்படி இருக்கீங்க? Did you survive Coolie?
நல்லா இருக்கேன். Yeah, I'm not a good betting man, but I unfortunately betted against Retro, Thug Life, and Coolie, and I don't feel good that it turned out to be this way, but we'll see. We'll talk about this one.
And making a grand comeback after a lot of episodes where he was absent, Mora, வாங்க.
பாராட்டுவிழா. ஹாய்.
நீங்க லெஜெண்ட் bro, நீங்க லெஜெண்ட். Okay, perfect.
சாதாரண மடிச்சு.
Okay, perfect. So let's get started. So we might have a few other guests joining. We'll see. I think before, guys, we jump into it, we probably need to just agree on some semantics so that it's easy for us to also categorize some of these questions that we've had in our minds and also help our viewers anchor to these terms. So, and the thing is, personally, what I've observed with this film is that everything gets bundled into one big term called plot hole. I mean, I'm going to stick my neck out and say that I don't think there are that many plot holes in this film as much as there are plot contrivances and plot conveniences. So now I got ChatGPT to simplify these terms for our listeners. Okay, so we're going to categorize these questions into 3 categories: plot holes, which is obvious and self-explanatory; plot convenience. So plot convenience, it's plausible, but it's just too lucky and too easy. It just happens, and the madri. And then plot contrivance, where it's implausible and obviously engineered for the sake of the plot. இது கதையில தான் நடக்கும், அந்த கதையை நான் இப்படி இன்ஜினியர் பண்ணிருக்கேன், இப்படி நான் உருவாயிருக்கேன், அதனால இது காம்ப்ளிகேஷன் வரும். That's a contrivance. Are you okay with these terms, guys?
Yeah, works for me.
Cool. Okay, ஆரம்பிக்கலாமா?
முடிச்சிடலாம்.
இதுதான் நான் எதிர்பார்த்தேன். Okay, first up, நம்ம முதல் question. Why is Preeti actually angry at Deva? இது உங்களுக்கு கன்வீனியன்ட்டா தோணித்தா இல்ல கன்ட்ரைவன்ஸா தோணித்தா? I don't think there's a plot hole because it's a creative choice. சொல்லுங்க, what did you think? I mean, it's explained in the film that கடைசியில அவங்க சொல்றாங்க அவங்க அப்பா, so called அப்பா ராஜசேகர் he kind of tells something about Deva, that's why she's angry with him, right? But what did it feel was lacking that it stood out like a sore thumb, this particular part?
I mean, honestly, for me personally, the tone change of the first 2 interactions between Preeti and Deva, like within 5 minutes, she's ready to work with him for figuring out Rajasekhar's death and all that. That it just happens too quickly, and I feel this movie in some ways எனக்கு வந்து நான் கபாலி மாதிரி also I kind of started seeing it where Rajini's anga vanda he's going behind his wife. Here a little bit of shades between the relationship between Shruti Hassan and Rajnikant. But so when the plot is so heavily based on a relationship between those two, I feel at least the core of the movie should have been dealt a little better uh, when these relationships are being explained. And Preeti just agreeing to work with Rajni so quickly just didn't sit well with me. So why is she actually angry at him? Badal vandichu da, like when I was seeing the movie, she does explain it, and Shruti Hassan has one good scene where she can exhibit her talents and stuff. And so it was explained, but it is just that it didn't sit very well with the story for me.
See, இப்போ எனக்கு வந்துட்டு I think this is a byproduct of the fact that hers is one of the more weakly written characters in the whole ensemble. Like இப்போ வந்துட்டு definitely compared to someone say like even like a Shobin's character or whatever, she's there. I mean, she's a bunch of character traits thrown together in one mishmash of a character where you can see, but you're not really given a big explanation as to why she is the way she is or what she even wants. She's just like அவளோட கேரக்டர் இருக்குன்றது ரொம்ப it was like it took the biggest hit என்ன பொறுத்தவரையிலும். And this is one of those questions that could have been answered a bit better. I mean, like we can make up our own head theory, head canons all the live long day, but ultimately reason என்ன, like what is the actual reason? I don't think it was ever outright said in the film. I mean, you can pause it. ஏன் அவ கோவப்படுறா? I mean, natural
I
இருக்கும்.
think that was answered in this way, where she says he left his atta, like Shruti Hassan's atta.
அதுதான், அதெல்லாம் ஓகே. பட் even beyond that, நீங்க சொன்னீங்கல்ல, like why does she want to work with Rajini? What is her stake in all of this? Like what is stopping her from just like, okay, இந்த காசு வந்துருச்சு அது இதெல்லாம், and why is she such a big presence in the idendra mari? Like it's not very well fleshed out. Like she just becomes a damsel in distress in the second half. She's not really given much to do.
But
We'll get on that later. But yeah,
to answer the specific question, I think it was answered in the movie. It was just not even though it was answered, it was not convincing enough to be a part of the plotline when the weight of this relationship is so high.
And I think that's the biggest issue, right? A lot of these things, right, they are important plot points and they get like very hand wavy explanations which might satisfy that logical itch maybe potentially, but it's done in such a incomplete way, right? You're left wanting, you're left, okay, I understand.
அந்த mental gymnastics நம்ம பண்ண வேண்டி இருக்குல்ல, அதுதான் பிரச்சனை.
அதுதான் பிரச்சனை.
That's the problem.
ஐ திங்க் பிரீத்தி மெயின்லி வந்து தேவா ஹேட் பண்றது வந்து அவங்க ஃபேமிலி ஒரு ஃபினான்ஷியல் பேர்டன்ல இருக்கிற மாதிரி சில சீன்ஸ் காட்டுவாங்கல்ல, அவங்களே டாக்டரா இருந்துட்டு ட்ராப் ஆன அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. ஸோ ஃபிளாஷ்பேக்ல கூட சத்யராஜோட கேரக்டர் வந்து தேவா மேன்ஷனுக்கு வந்திருப்பாரு, அது ஒரு மணி இதுக்காக, பட் அது கேட்காம அப்படியே போயிருவாரு. ஸோ அவரு அப்பா உயிரோட இருக்கிறப்போ வரைக்கும் உதவி பண்ணாம அவரு இறந்ததுக்கு அப்புறம் வந்து ஹெல்ப் பண்றாருன்னா, இப்போ 2 தங்கச்சி தான் இருக்காங்க. ஸோ இப்படி ஒரு அங்கிள் வந்து ஹெல்ப் பண்றப்போ மிஸ்யூஸ் பண்ண மாட்டாரான்னு ஒரு பொண்ணுக்கு அது ஒரு பயம் இருக்கதானே செய்யும். ஓ, அதுக்கு நெக்ஸ்ட் கேள்வியா?
நெக்ஸ்ட் கேள்வி அது ஆக்சுவலி பெர்ஃபெக்ட்டா நீங்க வந்து லீடு கொடுத்தீங்க. ஏன் இப்ப நீங்க கனெக்ட் பண்ணீங்கல்ல, இந்த ராஜசேகர் வந்து தேவா பாக்குறான்னு, அவர் ஏன் வந்து மேன்ஷன் வந்துட்டு தேவா பார்க்காம போனார்? அதுவும் இவ்வளவு இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் பிளாட் பாயிண்ட் வந்து லைக் ஹி வாண்ட்ஸ் டு டெல் தட் ஓகே லெட்ஸ் சே வந்து அவர் பிரீத்தி உங்க இதே கிடையாது, பிரீத்தி வந்து உங்க பொண்ணு இல்லைன்னு அது சொல்லாம இதே அந்த கூலி நம்பர் யாரை கால் பண்ணி சொல்றாங்க அவங்க உங்க பொண்ணுன்னா அவரோட சைல்டு, அது வந்து சொல்லிட்டு போயிருக்கலாம். மேன்ஷன் வந்து ஏன் வந்து சொல்லல? This thing actually kind of bothered me a lot. I know it's there because you want to give that complexity, unnecessary contrivance, I would say, because it gives you that tension in that train/mansion fight intercut. அதுக்காக இருக்கிற மாதிரி தான் இருக்கு எனக்கு. There is no other reason.
அத காட்டாமலே இருந்திருக்கலாம். Like I mean, what was the point of saying? See, what was the point of even saying that he came to the mansion if we didn't talk to him? Like if that wasn't there, nanume nothing is going to change in the story. Like it's just annoying.
I would also say that, right, even if Preeti was not Deva's child, it would have made exactly enough sense as it stands, right? Deva would have done all the things that he does, even if Preeti were not his child, because he cares for Rajashekar.
I think one thing that would have changed is that if he knew all of them were Satyaraj's kids, Then in the second half, he wouldn't have had to go to Deva Mansion to ask the other two sisters if you're Satyaraj's kids. அதுதான் நான் நினைக்கிறேன்.
But other again, so now you are creating a plot point because you want a screenplay element to bring
Exactly.
Deva into that mansion so that you can have that
Convenience.
And this is
It's
again either when you're getting this convenience because you made this plot overcomplicated. So any other headcanon? I don't think this is necessarily a plot hole that Rajashekar doesn't talk to Deva. I mean, people make choices, and sometimes those choices are inexplicable. But it's one of those things that just exists because you want to have writing mechanics built into the way you tell the story rather than telling the story itself.
Also, like Rajashekar and Deva's relationship itself is not really fleshed out super well. Like we get like one flashback sequence with them. Adilume, like it's not very clear as to what their dynamic actually is. Do they actually how deeply they care for each other? Convincing convey avala. I personally feel, but
I think
maybe that's also why it feels that way.
You need to watch movies like Mr. Bharat for getting answers to those.
இதென்ன மெட்டாவா வச்சாரா அவரு? எனக்கு அதான் a lot of the things in this film felt very like meta references and Loki trying to appear as if he's very clever, but ultimately it did a disservice to the actual story.
Bro. I'd agree.
That's cool. Moving on to our kingpin logistics. Arjun, நம்ம அவரோட ஏஜ் history அது that is a genuine hole, I think we will come to towards the end. But how on earth did he get that customs department job despite his background, familial background? Okay, இது வந்து எனக்கு ஒரு this you can interpret it as either a plot hole or as a plot convenience. Again, I think
convenience
convenience தான் அது. You can explain it in a very hand wavy way, but and probably it's a bit of a nitpicking by some of our vocal critics of the film. But yeah, இது உங்களுக்கு யாராவது ரொம்ப பிசில் தட்டிதா இந்த பர்టిక్యులர் எலிமெண்ட்? எனக்கு அவ்வளவு ஒன்றும் தோணல personally.
Yeah, it didn't bother me.
It's not the fact that he's in the customs thing. Why though? See, அவன் நல்லவன்றதெல்லாம் கூட ஓகே, அதெல்லாம் fine, but like okay, fine.
Just holding you there. அவங்க I don't know if he's isn't he the one who போட்டு கொடுத்து ஃபைஸ் what is the guy லப்பர் பந்தல வருவாரு, காளி வெங்கட்? Isn't
Kali Venkat?
Isn't Arjun the guy who?
I think that's him. Yeah.
So I don't know. Is he really a good guy? If that's the case,
I think they kind of make him like a victim of circumstances, Madhuri. Like he does it because he cares for Simon. I think that's how they position it. But and that is somehow interpreted as him being as a quote unquote good person. But எனக்கு எப்படி தெரியுமா, பேட்டர்ல வந்து ரஜினி டெல்ஸ் சேதுபதியில இந்த கூட்டத்தை நீ தான் கொஞ்சம் நல்லவன், பட் நீனும் ரொம்ப கெட்டவன், அந்த மாதிரிதான்
ரொம்ப கெட்டவன். ஆமா அந்த மாதிரிதான். இல்ல, பட் அல்டிமேட்லி இந்த கேரக்டரோட ஸ்கெட்ச் தான் என்ன, லைக் வாட் வாஸ் இஸ் ஹி சப்போஸ் டு பி திஸ் wolf in sheep's clothing? சரி, I'll accept Simon really loves his kid to the point that he's okay with his kid joining a thing that literally stands against everything he does. அதெல்லாம் கூட ஓகே, you see a glimpse of that in the climax. பட் என்னதான் லைக் ஐ மீன் வாட் இஸ் த பாயிண்ட்ன்ற மாதிரி தான் இருந்துச்சு எனக்கு. லைக் அல்டிமேட்லி இந்த கிராண்டர் ஸ்டோரி வாட் வாஸ் த பாயிண்ட்? அதான்
I think he's just there for that one sequence with that Kalyani character. That's it. Beyond that, I can't think of his utility, frankly.
Yeah, அதுவுமே it felt very cliche and put together, like for the sake of drumming up the tension there இருந்துச்சுன்ற மாதிரி இருந்துச்சு. But that's a different discussion.
Cool. I think so. Okay, this is sort of one of those things where you don't necessarily think it's a plot hole, but it's just there, and you don't see the point of it and how it adds value, except for contributing to some other secondary plot points, is what I would say. Yeah. Cool. Another question. Okay, and this is actually a big one. Why did Simon ask Deva specifically to bury Dayal at the police station? I mean, I think this you can interpret it in both ways. Like, ஏன் அவர் தேவா கேட்டாரு, ஏன் வந்து தேவா வந்து போலீஸ் ஸ்டேஷன்ல பரி பண்ண கேட்டாரு? I think that's how people are having questions on this one. I think the latter is explained in the film. Simon says that they should know that police வந்து இங்க வந்தானா என்ன ஆகும். So that is explained. I don't know why people kind of missed it. But why Deva? Like, how does Simon trust Deva so quickly versus some of his more senior members in his gang, right? Deva இப்பதான் வந்தான், ஸோ அதுக்குள்ள எப்படி வந்து அவனை வந்து இவ்வளோ இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் வேலை கொடுத்தான்னு வந்து you can try, you can think, right? And this is one thing that I think bothered people. But again, I see this again as a convenience stuff more than
I
anything
have an
else.
answer to this, but I'll wait. Like, Pirate, do you want to go with this one?
Sure. I mean, I think they were trying to show Simon as this very unpredictable sort of character. You don't know what he's going to do, type of stuff. So at one point when he basically finds out like Dayal is the other informant and he beats him, I was almost thinking like maybe that's a play to get back, to find out more about Deva, because I mean original movie first up பார்த்துட்டு இருக்கும்போது I was like, okay, maybe this is a way to find out more about Deva. So maybe Dayal's going to join the mansion, or he's going to actually become part of that crew to get more information about why Deva specifically joined or something like that. And then it turned out to not be that. So this has only brought up more questions for me, because yeah, I mean, I don't think if the intention is not to find out about Deva, then I don't understand like why he didn't give it to anyone else in his crew to take care
Okay,
of it.
from my understanding, and for some reason, Simon already started liking Deva, and Simon already knew Rajasekhar was Deva's friend. And அடுத்த சீன்ல சொல்லுவான், like I already knew about that. And he says, நீ எனக்கு இது பண்ணு, நான் உனக்கு ஒன்று பண்றேன்னு. So basically, allowing him to bury Dayal is basically giving Deva a closure that he was able to bury the guy who killed Rajasekhar. So that is kind of an understanding I got. I might be wrong, but this is what I got.
But Dad, நீங்க சொல்றது
But
வந்து
Deva didn't know, la. But Deva didn't know at the point he asked him, la.
Yeah, but
So,
maybe after he
what
buries,
is Simon's game there?
maybe Simon அப்புறமா திருப்பி சொல்லிருப்பானா இருக்கும். அதுக்கப்புறம் பரி பண்ணதுக்கு அப்புறம் he would show the video.
அதுக்கு முன்னாடியே சொல்லிருக்கலாம்லடா, ஆனா கதை போயிருக்காது. கரெக்ட், முன்னாடியே சொல்லிருந்தா கதை போயிருக்காது.
இல்ல, but my point is, right, Simon and Deva meet for the first time when Simon asks them to bury Dayal, right? So நீங்க சொல்றது வந்து why that Simon probably started liking Deva. He's not met Deva until now. Like, he's only heard of Deva probably, right?
But he keeps saying I've seen you somewhere, la. I can't place it.
But he sees him for the first time, or
That's
meets him for the first time
Yeah.
in that scene, and when he gives him the body,
See, the thing is, the movie, they kind of tell that pretty clearly all the time. They always need somebody to operate the chair. It is kind of a very important role for the gang to function. Even though it is stupid, and for that Simon needs Deva. So he needs Deva in his good books. And to keep Deva happy, he is like, Dayala pe bari panna, so that you get your closure with Rajasekhar. So something like that.
But I don't think like so. It's never made clear. So I don't want to speak for like the writing that's not there. But like it's never made clear if both of them are needed to operate that chair, or one person's needed to operate that chair. Because when they get, it's both Rajini and Shruti Hassan who both have to be in that room to operate that chair. So how do we know who operates that chair more compared to the two of them? Do you know what I mean? Like,
you don't need anybody, bro. You just need Kalyani to operate the chair.
Anyone can do it. It's very simple.
I just feel like that moment of what contribution does Deva have, and I don't know how Simon must have got into his head, but yeah, that's just playing Deva.
Or maybe the
Simon வந்து தயால போய் வந்து எம்ப்ளாயிஸ் எல்லாம் பயந்து போய் இருப்பாங்க. அவங்க எல்லாம் லைக் போய் அந்த 2 crores போர்டு எடுக்குன்னு சொல்றப்போ எல்லாரும் போகாம ஒரு நிமிஷம் பயந்து இருப்பாங்க. சோ அந்த எம்ப்ளாயிஸ நம்பாம அவர் தேவாவை லைக் நம்புறாரு. அதுக்கு வெளியில இருக்கிற ஆளை கண்டுபிடிக்கணும், ஹார்பருக்கு வெளியே அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு.
It's not a bad
பட் எனக்கு என்ன தோணுதுன்னா, புதைக்கிறதுக்கு பதிலா இந்த தலையை வெட்டி வைக்கிறது, இந்த மாதிரி தான் லோகேஷ் மூவில அதிகமா இருக்கும். அந்த மாதிரி ஏதாவது வச்சிருக்கலாம், ஸ்டேஷனுக்கு முன்னாடி வைக்கிறது.
ஆக்சுவலி அப்பயே வந்து தலையை வெட்டினா இந்த செகண்ட் ஹாஃபே நடந்திருக்காது கதை. ஸோ again, that's the whole my argument was why kill him and then bring him back with some convoluted Lazarus effect or whatever, right? So
அதான்
you
அதான்.
create a
ஆமா.
contrivance and then you bring in a convenience
Make
to
it a
advance the
convenience.
story. That's the problem.
Double.
ஆமா, அதான்
ஆமா.
this film is full of those kinds of elements, right? Which is why
ஆமா
it's
ஆமா.
very jarring. Then okay, next
Yeah.
one. Why on earth did Deva send? Let's be very honest. Literally, Mokka Pasanga to protect Preeti. I mean, knowing how dangerous Dayal is. Kalisa Vamchandana are up in Murshipara. This it's a meta answer. They needed a moment for Upendra to shine.
அது
In some
இருக்கு.
sense, right? But
Yes,
But
sir.
other than
another
that,
thing
it's
is
so
that
awkward.
Just a second. See, just read the question once. I think we are able to read it, but the listeners won't be able to read it, right?
Yeah, okay.
full-ஆ
So, but the
படிச்சிருங்க,
question,
அதுக்கப்புறம்
okay, yeah. So what was Deva's plan to save Preeti besides sending 3 incompetent fighters to protect her? I mean, why not send Kalisa or some of the other 18 coolies that he has in his mansion? I mean, the Kalisa answer I can give you. It's because they need a
மெட்டா
moment for
ஆன்சர் இருக்கு.
meta answer.
மெட்டா ஆன்சர் இருக்கு. Also, like I think Rajini needed, I mean, Deva needed more hands on deck at the mansion because like the bigger threat is coming there and he has to protect 2 sisters over there. சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு ரீசன் இருக்கலாம். But at the same time, like இப்போ வந்துட்டு there's another thing actually. If I'm not mistaken, வைசாக்ல இருந்து நான் 4 ஹவர்ஸ்ல இந்த 4 ஹவர்ஸ்ல அந்த டிஸ்டன்ஸ் கவர் பண்ணிடுவேன்னு அவர் சொல்லுவார்ல. லைக் ஐ மீன் ஃப்ரம்
Rajini,
அவருதான் ரஜினி அங்க வந்துடுறேன் 4 ஹவர்ஸும் எப்படி முடியும்?
மவுண்டர்ல இருந்து மீன் பக்கம் 5 நிமிஷம் 5 நிமிஷத்துல இருந்து தூத்துக்குடிக்கு ஒரு flight. 10 நிமிஷம்.
எப்படிடா முடியும்?
நான் வந்து இல்ல, I'm not making this up. So first time the part I didn't know where Dayal and Preeti were. Okay, because he said in old city Hyderabad Udangan, he says in before he kind of turns.
ஆமா.
I thought he was sitting in Hyderabad. Dude,
Exactly.
Hyderabad. There is no freaking way you can come to Hyderabad in 4 hours or 5 hours. No freaking way. Not happening.
From Chennai, no way. Bro, நெல்லூர் போகவே எவ்வளவு நேரம் ஆகும் bro?
Bro, இல்ல படத்துல வந்து அவங்க நெல்லூர்ல தான் இருக்காங்க. They are in Nellore.
ஆமா, ஆனா அவங்க எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணல.
So where is Deva mansion?
Deva mansion is in Rayapeta, Chennai.
Oh, okay.
The port is in Vizag. That's established.
Vizag.
Dayal and Preeti in the second half, they're sitting in Nellore.
Nellore.
Even though
அந்த
ட்ரெயின்ல வந்து அவங்க ஹைதராபாத் அனுப்புன்னு சொல்றான் தேவா கிட்ட, பட் இறங்குறது நெல்லூர்ல இறங்கிட்டாங்க. நெல்லூர் டு சென்னை வந்து ராயப்பேட்டெல்லாம் வர முடியாது, பட் எனக்கு தெரிஞ்ச வரைக்கும் எக்ஸ்டர்னல் சென்னை யூ கேன் கொஞ்சம் அமுக்கினானே 4-5 ஹவர்ஸ்ல வர முடியும்.
ஆமா, கரெக்ட்.
But there is no freaking way தலைவர் disturbing தலைவர் can't do Vizag to Chennai in 4 hours.
900+ kilometers, bro. How is it even possible?
To answer the specific question, I don't think this is a very jarring plot line or something. Like who is competent, who is incompetent, basically it is a skill fight at that time. Yeah, so on the time it just feels Dayal is one of the strong characters in the movie, who is like, even with a sangli to his neck, he's able to beat like trainல இருக்கிறவங்க ட்ரெயினுக்கு வெளியே
இருக்காங்க. That sangili might as well have been a Sabarimala mala, bro.
Even
the bigger plot convenience is they didn't shackle him to something.
Even if,
that is the biggest plot convenience.
Even if, so to answer this question, even if Kalisha had come, Upendra had come there is a chance Dayal, according to the movie plot, was strong enough to defeat all of them. So that is all I can say about this one.
இது the comic book writing மாதிரி இருக்கு. How can Batman defeat Superman மாதிரி அதேதான். It's a power scaling game தான் அது. Okay, fine. So we take it as a plot convenience, not necessarily a plot, but ரொம்ப it's jarring again, and that's the thing, right? We keep coming back to the same comment. This one next one is very important. I think it's actually worth thinking through. There was no resolution to the whole Deva Preeti father-daughter arc, right? What was the whole point of that arc if you're not going to resolve it in any meaningful way in the end, right?
Like பரத்வாஜ் ரங்கன் இன்டர்வியூல அவர் சொல்லுவாரு, லைக் தளபதி படத்துல வந்து எப்படி ரஜினிக்கும் சோபனாக்கும் இருக்கிற லவ் அப்படியே போச்சோ, அதே மாதிரி வந்து ஸ்ருதிக்கும் ரஜினிக்கும் இதாயிட்டு அப்படின்னு.
Bro, but at the end of the day, man, now this is getting annoying with Loki, right? He can't use meta reasons to justify, lack of plot resolution. That is what I find very frustrating. What do you guys think?
ரீசன்ட் மூவிஸே லைக் ஏதோ பரத்வாஜ் ரங்கனுக்கு இன்டர்வியூ கொடுக்கறதுக்கு தான் படம் பண்ற மாதிரியும் இருக்கு, எனக்கு ஃபீல் ஆகுது.
அது எல்லா டைரக்டர்ஸும் அப்படிதான் இருக்காங்க ப்ரோ. பைரேட், உங்க தாட்ஸ்?
I think there is no through line in this relationship for like Deva and Preeti. So let's think about like what the reveal is at the end. It does it feel like it's organically building up throughout the film to get there? That's the problem for me. And we can talk about this for several things, but since we're focusing on Deva Preeti relationship, I don't think there's a thematic point to this film. So there isn't like a message, or there isn't something that's explored in this film about Rajini's abandonment, or the fact that he's living alone, and Preeti doesn't know who her actual father is, or she thinks that this was the father, but then there's some other father, or she has some sort of discovery that there may be another father, or there isn't anything like that in the film. The film is very mechanically driven, like or plot checklist Mari. This should happen, then this should
Yeah.
happen, then this should happen. And I think because of that, there isn't any room to give a proper resolution to those two characters. That's my
So
2 cents.
I'm just thinking, like Shruti has a good monologue somewhere where she says she has been alone all her life. She hasn't gotten a chance to live the life that she wants, and now after the death of Rajasekhar, she is pretty much on her own. When she's அவ்வளோ ஃபீலிங்ஸ் அது பேசுகிறப்போ doesn't it makes Rajini to say I am there for you, I am your dad, or is it gonna, maybe I don't know, maybe he didn't say that because he respects his friend so much, and அதுக்காக to just to respect that relationship he has with Rajasekhar, maybe he didn't tell that, but at the same time Rajasekhar has already revealed that, like that's why he says Coolie number is சொல்ல அவங்க அப்பா எடுப்பாங்க. So basically Rajasekhar wants Rajini to accept that he's Shruti Hassan's dad, but Rajini goes against that. So yeah, the panana எனக்கு தெரியல.
See, you
Agreed.
bring up a good point. I don't know if this is all cut out in some big editing chunk where they feel that all these non-action scenes could like slow down the film, therefore they took all this out, or not. Or maybe I'm just imagining, and maybe they never even like filmed all this, like or whatever we are just talking about. I don't even know what is the actual reality of this, but yeah, it just, the final cuts just come out this way.
I think, right, Lokesh Vanda in a lot of his films, he does this Hitchcockian writing style where he reveals the suspense to the audience. So நமக்கு தெரியும் எல்லாமே யார் யாரோட ரிலேஷன்ஷிப் யார் யாரை கொலை பண்ணிருக்காங்க அதெல்லாம் தெரியும், but the characters
அந்த
within the
dramatic
film
irony.
ஆமா
அந்த
அது வச்சு
dramatic irony கொண்டு வருவான்.
he did this in Master, he did this to some extent in Vikram, he did this excessively in Coolie, I must say. He did that somewhat in Leo as well, but Leo la there's a meta reason அதனால தான் நமக்கு தெரியும் because we don't know within the context of the plot. But my point is, I think it's getting a bit tiresome, and I don't know, it goes nowhere is what I feel nowadays with that thing. It was innovative when he did it with JD and Bhavani once in Master, I think, but I think now it's getting out of. Next question, number great Amir Khan question. Why and what was Daaha searching Deva for? எதுக்கு ஏன் அப்புறம் கண்டுபிடிச்சாரு
பீடி கிடைக்குமா?
ஏன் விட்டாரு? Bro, I will tell you a genuine plot hole. I'll tell you a genuine plot hole. Plot hole தேவையில்ல, நான் வேற உங்களுக்கு plot hole. இதெல்லாம் வந்துலாம் சும்மா contrivance plot hole சொல்லிட்டு நம்ம audience. Ivar வந்து Amir Khan is not some Mexican or whatever. He lives in Mexico, but he's from Andhra, Bombay, and he speaks Hindi. How on earth can a Hindi speaking person not know what a BD is?
Yeah, that's actually true.
I mean, you might not smoke it, but you bloody well know.
You've at least seen it.
Okay, I'm gonna.
You at least know, dude. You literally deal in goods.
A specific question.
இவ்வளவு பெரிய பில்டிங்ல இதுதான்.
என்னதான் அமீர் கான் ஹிந்தில பேசினாலும் he is not a guy who lives. I think he lives in Mexico. So Mexico BD maybe doesn't exist.
Bro, மெக்சிகோல பீடி இல்ல ப்ரோ, பட் சின்ன வயசுல பீடி பார்த்திருப்பாங்க.
எங்கேயாவது பார்த்திருப்பலடா.
நானும் பார்த்திருக்கேன். இல்ல, okay, but leave that aside. But what was Daaha? I mean, firstly, why was Daaha searching for Deva? Okay, yeah, and then he kind of wants Deva to join his gang, but then Deva threatens him. I will come and search for you in Mexico. So adiketi he just lets him go. Firstly, what the movie is never very clear. Like, what are the boundaries that the syndicate operate in that Deva will tolerate? he does not tolerate the idea that the syndicate can make money, or not syndicate, Simon, who's going against the syndicate behind their back and dealing in organs. So Deva is against that. But the way the film ended, I thought, okay, நீ அது மட்டும் பண்ணாத, அது தவிர என்ன வேணா பண்ணிக்கோ, நீ கொலை பண்ண, I have no issues. நீ smuggle பண்ண, drugs இல்ல, but I don't think they do drugs, but gold, watches, whatever you do that, I don't care. Don't trouble my coolies and don't get into the organ trade. Is that what you guys got out of it? I didn't understand what Daaha wanted from Deva, frankly.
Either, bro, like I thought it wasn't very clear either, but I think like if one, yeah, like Deva's whole pain point is that don't disturb my coolies, don't harvest organs from my coolies, don't harm them. You do whatever else you want, syndicate along, okay. Another, so Amir Khan asks him, when are you joining hands with me, since you don't really have any compunctions about any other morality involved here, about the legal ramifications or anything. And kuda variyanu kekran. Rajini doesn't say a hard yes. So I guess they just kind of come to a middle ground where like, சரி ஓகே நீ பண்றத பண்ணு, and the what I get in return is you don't touch my coolies. And அந்த மாதிரி I think it just seems to be like an arrangement, like it's not very clearly spelled out how it resolves itself, but
Yeah, I'm
So
sorry.
now
I'm just gonna put out a point here. Like when Rajni cares so much about his coolie, Amir Khan is in his introduction scene is basically testing his guns on coolies who are working
but
for Simon. Maybe,
weren't those Simon's coolies?
Yeah, maybe
They
those.
Weren't those
Simon's
Simon's
coolies,
coolies?
and they were the guys who were moles for
Promoting the
opposite
trafficking.
gang. No, not the trafficking. Yeah, the trafficking, yes, but some of them were also working for another gang, right?
Oh yeah, that's also there.
One of the guys that Rajni rescues, right, when he tries to get that
Ama.
paper, he says he's working for the other gang, right, because they are also trying to
Get money out of it. Yeah.
But you should say this, Pilot. Sorry.
Sorry, bro.
But I think like we're talking about this question very seriously. I just have to say, this feels the most out of the film part in the whole film, because clearly like it's somehow added after. There isn't any setup before. There isn't anything organic. And this is coming from me. I in Vikram, I did not like the Rolex cameo, but now after this film has come out, I can actually respect how much that was actually baked into that film. But
bro, again going into a meta thing, like I think this wouldn't stick out so bad if it had been kept at least as much a secret as it was.
Secret, yeah.
With the Rolex cameo, Amir Khan leak பண்ணிட்டாரு நான் படத்துல இருக்கேன்ட்டு. So that just kind of like if we had shown up out of the blue, then that at least that shock factor would have been there. But now, well, everyone knows. So what's the point?
I like the fact that see, sort of an invented word, but I like how Lokesh was trying to play with tropes and kind of making them anti-tropes, like how we flipped the whole Argentina thing on its head. உனக்கு அது ஹீரோயிக்கா தெரிஞ்சதுல, மாசா தெரிஞ்சதுல, இப்ப பாரு ஒரு வில்லி என்ன பண்றானு அது மாதிரி ஒரு போடுங்க. அப்புறம் கடைசியில நீ ஆமீர் கான் வந்து பெரிய ரோலெக்ஸ் மாதிரி நினைச்சா பாரியா, உங்க பாரியா நம்ம ரியல் ஸ்டார் சூப்பர் ஸ்டார் பர்ஃபெக்ஷன் பீடி பிடிக்கிறாங்க. I found it very clever, but it was also frustrating because this is not why I'm sitting and watching a film called Coolie with all.
See, this is satire padam. This is not Tamil padam where I'm looking for those anti-tropes.
Exactly.
Like, do what is nice.
Movie. In a Nelson movie, this might have been okay.
Yeah.
This might work.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So Daaha enna vandara or mari theriyala, but I think JK you kind of gave a spin to it, but yeah, it was heavily tacked on. So number move pannalam. So what I think probably is the one jarring plot hole that I thought, and maybe you can kind of explain it. The timeline. Yarga and the padathoda timeline purinjada. The whole 30 years and how it fit. What was the age of Simon? What was Daaha's age? At what age did Simon have his kid Arjun, who's so grown up? And Preeti Vande, she's 29 years. She says that. Say, okay, round off 30 solittu pona. So at what point did Rajni walk away from her mother? And
I mean, this might be a convenience, but Arjun could be adopted, right?
But the age gap, bro.
No, but like at what age did he adopt the kid is a question, right?
Okay, I'm just gonna support Loki on this one. Like, now I'll try to see how Loki did this. Maybe on the JBU Ajitoda payana vara paiyan vanda, when that scene was shot, maybe he was already 12 or 13, and maybe he got married in the next 7
Probably.
years, early, like 20 la. And so Arjun's character is basically 20 years old. Maybe that was a miscast, but I think 20 years old is what Loki was
9
trying
year
to
age
do.
gap.
Yes, yeah.
Because Preeti is 29. Yeah, so.
And
Ama.
other than that, I think Rajini staying out of everything, like offline for the last 30 years and everything. I think other than for this Arjun character, I think otherwise the timeline kind of sits okay.
So you reckon that after Deva kills Xavier, he kind of walks away from his Shobana, right? That's his
Yeah,
wife in this
but
film.
அதுக்கு முன்னாடியே
Based on the photo.
நடக்க வேண்டியதெல்லாம் நடந்துருச்சு. So that is why Shruti Haasan is 29. ஒரு குழந்தை உருவாகு 9 மாசம்.
ஐயோ
So I don't think
Maybe.
anything any other timeline other than Arjun is hitting too hard for me.
Okay, fine, fair enough. So not too bad, I would say. Okay, next one. This is not a plot hole or whatever. It's more of a writing thing, I would say. The promise of Powerhouse. Did it live up to it? Did it live up to its hype? Not the song, but the whole Powerhouse thing.
the motif.
The motif. Yes, that's the word. சொல்லுங்க.
I mean,
ஏதோ அந்த ஆல்கஹாலுக்கு அட்வர்டைஸ்மெண்ட் மாதிரி இருக்கு.
mansion house க்கு பதிலா mansion house பதிலா power house னு வச்சிருப்பாங்க. But what was the point of it தெரியல. அது வேற விஷயம்.
ஐபிஎல்க்கு நடுவுல நாக்கிலே கேசரி மாதிரி ஆட் மாதிரி வச்சிடலாம்.
கேசரி ரெஃபரன்ஸ். ஓகே, நைஸ். அடுத்த இது பேச்சு பாட்காஸ்ட்க்கு
in the movie's timeline, first time Powerhouse is shown when Rajini, the Palay flashback la, he drops the bottle of mansion Powerhouse and promises 30 years kudiya matta. And the second time reference is basically Satyaraj telling Dayal Kadla on Powerhouse, and after that Dayal telling Rajini and Rajini drinking, and he's like முடிச்சிரலாமா. அவ்வளவுதான்ல. ஆஃப்டர் அதோட ஐ டோன்ட்
அவ்வளவுதான். So
அந்த இன்டர்வல்லியே, like how did Rajini get down though? Like he had to come up by crane lift. He's just pissed off this entire room of யாரு ப்ரோ அவரை கீழே இறக்கி விட போறா? You really think Simon's good? Oh, cool, nice. You killed someone, you went against me. Go take the lift down.
Simon வந்து ரஜினியோட ஸ்வாக்ல விழுந்துட்டாரு. சரியா? This is pretty.
அப்படியே மயங்கிட்டாரு.
அதனாலதான் லைக் தயால பரி பண்ண சொல்றது எல்லாமே லைக் he secretly is with ரஜினி.
இருக்கலாம். தப்பே இல்ல.
லைக் நான் லவ்னு சொல்றது லவ்னா ரெஸ்பெக்ட் லவ், அந்த லவ். சரியா? just making it clear.
அந்த இல்ல எல்லாம் ஓகே தான்.
நான் என்ன சொல்றேன்னா, the Powerhouse motif வந்து இல்ல, கொஞ்சம் டயலாக்ல வந்து you could have corrected it and it would have had a good impact. Say for example, when அந்த flashback காட்டுறாங்கல்ல, where Satyaraj says நீமே குடிக்க கூடாதுன்னு, he could have just said something like, இல்ல நீ இது குடிக்க கூடாது, நான் செத்தப்புறம் நீ குடிடா, அப்ப நான் சொல்லுவேன், உனக்கு தெரியும் நான் பவர் ஹவுஸ் சொல்றேன், அன்னைக்கு நீ பவர் ஹவுஸ் குடி, and then he would have dropped that bottle. Rajini could have dropped the bottle and said something like, okay, நான் இனிமே குடிக்க மாட்டேன், இனிமே வந்து நீ எப்ப சொல்றியோ, எப்ப நீ வந்து உனக்கு தோணுது நான் வந்து இந்த அடி கூட்டத்துல திருப்பி இறங்கணும், அப்ப நீ சொல்லு, நீ பவர் ஹவுஸ் சொல்லு, நான் வந்து இறங்க, something like that. I'm making it on the fly, but you get my point, right? So the whole idea is that this guy is not just walking away from the drink powerhouse, he's walking away from the idea of being a powerhouse, a violent person.
Bro,
basically the equivalent of Rajini in Basha turning back into
அதான் சொல்ல வந்தேன்.
Exactly, அதேதான்.
It works in Basha, bro. It'll work in Basha but not here, because Deva is still a rough and tumble kind of guy. It's not like he's a meek auto guy who became a rowdy before. அந்த கான்ட்ராஸ்டே இல்லையே. Like even now he's doing that only. அடிச்சு நவுத்திடுவார் எல்லாரையும்.
That is a different problem. அது பிரச்சனை அது இருக்கு. I'm just saying, if you had just if you had to do this whole powerhouse thing, you could have just tried to tighten the dialogue at least. இது வந்து ரொம்ப லூஸா வந்ததனால இல்ல. இப்போ like my dad, I went to watch the first showing with my dad. He's like, yeah, Powerhouse என்னையா Powerhouse சொன்னா அந்த சரக்கு குடிக்கிறான் அதான் Powerhouse. அதுக்கு இவ்வளவு build up. He's asking it, and he's a person who actually enjoyed the film, by the way. He thought it was not that bad. So I'm just saying. Cool. Kadaisi question. நம்ம எலக்ட்ரிக் சேர் மெக்கஃபின் அதை பத்தி உங்களோட தாட்ஸ். அந்த சேர் வந்து ஹியூமன்ஸ்க்கு பண்ணதா, அனிமல்ஸ்க்கு பண்ணதா,
ஏன் பண்ணது?
ஏன் பண்ணது, அது ஆப்ரேட் பண்றதுக்கு ஒருத்தம் போருமா, 2 பேரும் போருமா, இல்ல யாரு வேணா ஆப்ரேட் பண்ணலாமா? அந்த சேரை பத்தி சொல்லுங்க.
I feel it is the same chair where Leo is sitting and says "மூட நம்பிக்கை." I think it's the same chair.
இருக்கலாம், தப்பே இல்லை. दीम तलकड़ितिल्लाले सावकड़िपति याराले.
So anybody wants to take this? Anybody wants to support this argument?
Bro, இது மெக்காஃபின் கூட சொல்ல முடியாது bro, because it just serves to be part of the inciting incident, and then the movie just becomes about something else. Like, I mean, after that the chair stops mattering. It's not like they're trying to vie for control of the chair or anything. It's just there as a plot device.
Okay,
அவ்வளவுதான். மெக்காஃபின் சொல்ற அளவுக்கு கூட அதுக்கு இது இல்ல.
The one thing people keep bringing out is like how did the Rachita characters operate the chair so easily?
Know how to operate.
Yeah, அதுக்கு வந்து ரஜினி gives an answer like சொல்லுவார், நான் இது வெளியில எடுத்துட்டு வந்துட்டேன், now it is portable அப்படினா he will give that, he has that one dialogue. Basically what by portable what he means is now இப்போ ஒரு switch போட்டாலே work ஆகுங்கிற மாதிரி he's trying to explain. Just answering that question.
My god. I mean, like, they don't really establish the rules of this chair that well anyway. Like, I mean, yeah, anything goes in Ramarda. Like, anything you say, we'll have to believe about this chair. So, yeah, it's not like it's bound by rules. So,
yeah, but that whole Rachita character, right? Like, operating the chair was unnecessary. You just shot yourself in the foot. Like, what does she use a chair for? Not even killing Arjun, for freaking killing Charlie, who's like sloshed 80% of the time.
And what about the serum லாம் எடுத்து ஏதோ இன்ஜெக்ட் பண்ணனும், அதையுமாடா போர்ட்டபிள் ஆக்கிட்ட? then what is this chair really? I mean,
என்னோட பாயிண்ட் என்ன தெரியுமா, you didn't even have to incinerate Charlie, right? சும்மா மாட்டிட்டு she could have just walked away, because you're anyway going to keep Arjun for எதுக்கு வந்து you create a plot for your own sort of issues. நீங்களே வந்து plot create பண்றீங்க உட்கார்ந்துட்டு.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to establish how bad she is, but that could have been done just by killing Charlie with a stone or
karate kick. But she kills the two other guys, right?
Pretty ruthlessly,
along with Charlie, pretty ruthlessly. The whole idea
she doesn't need the chair.
She goes all Agent Tina on them. adukku mela enna theva? I mean, she's convincing as a ruthless person. I get it. Like, இது வந்து சேர் எடுத்து வந்து என்ன பாயிண்ட் எனக்கு புரியல. And this is why I think sometimes in this film, I don't know what Lokesh was thinking. Is like, சரி அடிக்கிற அடியில போடலாம், எவன் கேட்க போறான், அந்த மாதிரி தான் தோணிட்டு இருந்த மாதிரி.
See, I think he realized that, oh god, chair ன்னு ஒண்ணு இருந்துச்சுல்ல, அதை கொண்டு வரணும் மேபி அது செகண்ட் ஹாஃப்லன்னு சொல்லிட்டு, இல்லைன்னா அதை வேற அடிப்பாங்க கண்டினியூட்டி இல்லைன்ட்டுன்னு சொல்லிட்டு எடுத்துன்னு வந்திருப்பாரு டோக்கனுக்காக. அவ்வளவுதான்.
அதுக்குள்ள செயற்கைத்தனமா பண்றதுனாலதான் இந்த மாதிரி.
அதுதான் பிரச்சனையே.
நிறைய எலிமெண்ட்ஸ் அப்படிதான் இருந்துச்சு.
Yeah, so pretty much what I feel is from the 10 questions, I think Loki has answered all of them. This movie is not as bad as you guys are making it.
See, questions answer இருந்துச்சு, but plot holes இல்ல, but ஏகப்பட்ட plot convenience and contrivances. அது வேணா.
I think that's the challenge. So at least I hope with our discussion, our viewers and listeners, right, they're convinced that this is not a plot hole filled movie, but when a film or a screenplay has so many contrivances and conveniences, it starts appearing as a plot hole to most watchers, right? And Loki coming out with a 2-hour-long marathon interview with Baddy is not going to change people's opinions. I think it just makes them appear desperate at this point.
As Rajini said in Jailer, என்னங்க ரியலாவே இல்ல, அந்த மாதிரிதான் இருக்கும், வேற என்ன பண்றது?
I think இதுல வந்து தலைவர் தான் கொஞ்சம் வந்து kind of probably sussed out there's something wrong with this film.
ஆமா ப்ரோ, ஆமா, தளபதி மாதிரி இருக்குன்றாரு ப்ரோ அவரு. எந்த ஆங்கிள் இந்த படம் உனக்கு தளபதி இருக்கு எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சவனும் ஃபர்ஸ்ட்
சொன்னாங்க.
அந்த ஒத்த ஷாட்டுக்காக தளபதி ஆயிருமா? பாபா 100 பாபான்னு சொல்லிருக்கணும்.
தெலுங்கு மிக்ஸ் ஆயிட்டு மினிட் said that 100 பாஷா ஒரு கூலி இல்ல. I was like, புடிச்சிட்டாங்கப்பா நம்ம மீம்ஸ்.
தக் லைஃப் சிண்ட்ரோம்.
இந்த படம் வந்து மொக்காச்சுன்னா இந்த இது வச்சே செய்வாங்க.
செய்வாங்க. ஆமா.
செய்யறாங்க.
கண்டிப்பா. அதனால ஆமா.
So guys, so that was our deep dive looking at 10 burning questions from the black hole of plot holes from Coolie. So plot holes ரொம்ப இல்ல, நிறைய plot conveniences இருக்கு. அது we will discuss that, but we had a fun chat. I hope you also enjoyed listening to us, and இன்னும் உங்களுக்கு வந்து கன்வின்சிங் ஆகலைன்னா இன்னும் போடுங்க பிளாட் ஹோல்ஸ். அடுத்த எபிசோட்ல வந்து திருப்பி நம்ம அட்ரஸ் பண்ணலாம் இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் இருந்ததுன்னா. இல்லைனா வந்து we will see you in another episode of the r/Kollywood podcast. 2 வாரத்தை நம்ம புது கன் தளபதி வராரு திருப்பி with another Nolan session. இதுக்கு மேல நான் சொல்ல வேண்டிய அவசியம் இல்லை, நீங்களே புரிஞ்சுப்பீங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஸோ அந்த படத்தோட ரிவ்யூ, அதோட ஹைப், அதெல்லாம் வந்து நம்ம டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணலாம். Okay, thank you everyone. Peace out.
Thanks
guys.
guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you everyone. Bye.